Quê? Entra aí, Pepo. O show é hoje, Pedro. Vamos assistir. Aí eu faço em live já. É hoje. Não, só que ganha um envelopamento e uma outra dança. Bora, mano, rápido. É mó legal. Aí eu também já faço em live. Eu tô. Dança, Pedro, entusiasmito.
Mas já foi, Matheus. O senhor não foi ainda?
Como assim?
Você envelopamento é do Only-Slymy.
Não é difícil, mas tá bom. Pior que se eu fazer em live, vai dar copyright, né? Tipo, strike. Vai sim, mano, sacada de música. Eu também nem sou um canal grande, né? Então, foda-se.
Strike faz o
Eu vou levar strike quantas vezes eu quiser, eu tô aí. Cadê o cinema, porra? Cadê o cinema? Aqui. Beleza, como é que eu vou chegar no cinema?
Matheus, me espera. Cadê tu?
Você é cego?
Cadê tu? Não tá aparecendo pra mim.
Olha aqui, ô!
É que meu nome não tá aparecendo aí, parece que eu tô pessoa.
Corre, Pedro.
Olha, todo mundo presente, olha. O evento já começou, olha lá. Tô conseguindo ver daqui.
Mano, a gente vai chegar atrasado, Pedro, mas eu não quero saber, eu vou entrar naquela porra. Eu quero ver quem vai me proibir. Eu quero ver. Quê? Zoom? Como assim zoom?
Aperta o botão de mirar.
Ah. Eu sei. Nossa, Robert, não.
Adam Jones did it in a very eloquent way early on, but there are very few that are vocal. You said you all were afraid. Why use that word and why were you afraid?
We were afraid because in 2019 there was 68 of us total. And there are 38 teams. There's 25 man roster on each team. There's a 40 man roster, which is on each team as well. There aren't many of us. So we're outnumbered in that sense, but not always in a negative way when it comes to our teammates and our clubhouse. To get to this point, you have to move a certain way. You got to be careful what you say. You can't ruffle feathers. You can't come off in any way. Much like other black entertainers, much like yourself, probably having to live through life every day. But to get to the highest level,
Ela tá chorando, mano.
seen and not heard. So baseball, like I said, it was time for us to try and speak up and make a difference. And show it's okay to do so because we can't be quiet anymore.
That
Tá
is
falando do racismo,
be
Pedro.
quiet, be seen but not heard. That is an expression that a lot of black folks can relate to in whatever aspect of of professionalism that they experience, especially if they don't work for themselves. They just feel that. That is also a socialization that we have as Black folks, especially, like you said, if you want to get to the higher level. And for so long, I felt it bubbling right underneath the surface that so many of us who were in whatever positions we were, who had platforms, were tired of pretending and looking the other way and spending so much time making others comfortable while we were uncomfortable. Do you feel that this is the type of movement that is sustainable, or is it just for a time?
No, it takes everyone joining in on the conversation, and right now I feel like more than ever there is little things as possible to distract from bigger issues. We saw on draft day, we saw our president, Bill Epstein, holding up a sign saying Black Lives Matter.
Pode ir no pai aqui, mano. É igualzinho.
But now we're having those conversations as well. So I definitely
É igualzinho, meu pai.
And it's not always just going to be the popular thing to do. But this is something people want to get right because they know we're here.
Jason, you said you think it's sustainable, that what you're seeing, especially with your colleagues in baseball, that this can be something where you're feeling more comfortable, feeling more safe to share how you feel about social injustice and police brutality. What are you doing right now in this moment with your platform to help change how we look at voting and how to educate the culture and the community about voting?
Well, first what I'm doing, Carrie, is joining up with and joining up with other athletes and entertainers to get that message out and use our platform in that sense as a group. And try to create a brand with this to make it something that's not just about the election coming, make sure that it's about people getting educated for years to come and figure out where to vote and how to vote. We've got people in different areas that cover different demographics and influence different areas of people. And as a baseball player, as a Black baseball player, I feel like now, like we talked about, is finding the time to show people that you can use your voice in this profession. You don't have to be afraid. And to me, that can help someone, help a kid growing up. He can see me, he can see other guys that were in the video we posted saying, hey, this is what they're standing for. They're speaking up for these things, and it's okay to want to play baseball. It's not lame. It's not something I have to be as afraid of as I was before. So I feel like that's my role in this. I have a younger brother as well. He's 24. He also plays baseball. So I've got to lead by example. I can't just always come up with a good answer that sounds good on TV when I get asked a question on what do we need to do to make changes. I'm doing it here to make sure that I take action and get educated myself. For one, so many people, I feel like in Atlanta, they're on the move. Well, when you want to try to make a vote,
eu também tô aqui, Pedro, que minha máscara, a metade do meu corpo é preto. Olha seu irmão aí, Pedro, do seu lado. Olha seu irmão aí.
Right, we didn't get it in the mail to the address that's an Atlanta address at my parents' house. We didn't get that in the mail until it was too late. And then from other friends and family that are still in Georgia right now, I just hear about them being held in lines too long and trying to get off work. And we know how it is for any family, let alone a Black family in the city or in the suburbs, trying to take care of your family and trying to provide for them. You try to get off work, and then you're like, wait a minute, you start looking at the clock, it's like, oh, this is not going to happen today, right? And so I saw, Mayor Keisha Bottoms, reach out via social media to people and say,
jornal no videogame, Marcelo. Eu nunca vi isso. Jornal no videogame, beleza. Novas notícias sobre o coronavírus. Olha o coronavírus.
You even bring that up because there have been all these images specifically from Georgia, because that's such a battleground, where you see people, especially when it came to the primaries, doing whatever it takes. And this is real life voter suppression that you're talking about. It's been happening for decades. It's not fake. What you're saying, these examples of sending you your ballot too late after the fact, or shutting down the polls at 6 o'clock while people still are in line, that's a real life issue. There needs to be some type of change. And I think that what we're doing right now is fair. But the idea of voter suppression, do you think that is well known, especially with folks, within the generation, your generation?
I think it's known in our communities, right? I don't think it's spoke on enough. I don't think there's been enough light drawn to it. Bring it to light. Let people hear about it. Let people learn about what that looks like, and get more people to say, okay, look, this is going to happen. We have to expect this, and we can no longer make the excuse. We can't say that anymore.
Jason, everybody knows, or it feels as if everyone knows that the time is now. America's paying attention to us. We have their eyes. We have their ears. If you look toward the future, What are you most excited about in terms of seeing the change?
I'm excited about how fast the word is traveling. The word is being spread right now. The biggest athletes, the biggest icons, biggest entertainers are doing their part. But I'm also seeing people out there on the streets doing their part. When so many things got lost, could have very easily got in the commotion when it came to protests and you saw rioting, you saw looting. People still stood their ground. People still went out there and said, look, we're doing this for the right reasons. We're going to come together. We're going to use drones. We're going to use social medias. I feel like this is a new wave of getting things done the right way and just spreading the message.
You're right about
Depois
that,
vai,
and you're right.
depois vai ter
People are
música,
spreading the
Pedro.
word unapologetically. We out here. We doubling down. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Right.
Jornal Nacional, segunda edição.
Yeah, look.
Olá.
Hey everybody, I am so excited to welcome a friend, a brother, family member, if you will, former colleague, NBA great,
Olá.
sports analyst, philanthropist.
É o cara do jogo do NBA, Pedro. Aquele cara lá do NBA 22, ou 20 lá, entende alguma coisa lá.
Talk to me about
NBA
how
20
important
lá.
it is for the people
Eu
who
sei lá
know you
também.
and love you and look up to
Eu
you.
sei que
Why
é
is
o
it so
cara do
important
jogo.
that you use your platform to talk about voting?
Initially, we have to get past the stigma of the mental systemic racism that comes with the presidential race, governors, mayors,
Ele
senators,
também me
judges.
mandou. Eu aceitei.
We've been conditioned to believe that our vote
A
does
voz
not
dele
matter.
tá lá
So
agora.
usually when we looked up at all of those races and people that were running, not only did they not look like us,
É ao
we didn't
vivo.
believe they were there to represent our best interests.
E foi.
So therefore, as a collective, we didn't mobilize until Barack Obama, and we
Yeah.
felt a sense of hope that finally our country is going to do something that we felt would never happen in our lifetime. And I remember being at the inauguration in 2008. I
E olha
made
pro teu lado,
sure,
Pedro.
and we voted in 2016. We didn't vote, Carrie. We didn't vote. And so many people
Espera
try
aí,
to
Pedro, eu
make
vou
this
trocar de skin.
political. This is not political.
Tem que representar ela aqui.
Cadê?
Não pode ser menos 30 mil.
Eu só tenho essa, Pedro.
How about that?
Eu
And
coloquei
then the third
um outro
thing,
estilo.
especially in urban environments,
Você
oh
passou
man,
por
they
mim.
create barriers for us, Carrie. It's like you got to jump over the fence, you got to run past the dog, you got to jump on the hood of the car. The lines is 5 hours long. You get up to the pole and they don't work. Elderly people working in the city, while they got the young people who understand technology working in the suburbs.
A remédio familiar dá o quê?
Skin.
Too. So your vote will be counted
What's up,
if
Papa?
you're able to mail it in. So those are a few things that I hope that we can do in mobilizing. Shout to LeBron and his team. Shout
Eu
to
sou o
you and
Peixoto
everybody
agora.
involved. We will make a difference.
Well, let's talk
Eu sou
about more
Peixoto
than a vote.
pirata.
There is a black collective of
Vem cá,
athletes,
Pedro.
artists, coming together and saying voter suppression is
Aqui,
a
ó.
real deal, especially in the black community. When you just talked about, I got to work, so I can't go
Segue
vote.
reto aí,
And then
ó.
when we do get in the booth, just in
Aqui, ó,
case we don't
sou eu.
have to work, do we know who we're voting for? Not only do we have to vote, we got to be educated. And it's not always even about the man who's in office or the woman who's in office for
Rabetão,
president.
mano.
It's about your local elections. It's about the people who are your DAs, your state
Eu
DAs, like
vou.
the people who actually make change in your community, who will change police brutality, who will make sure that your community is taken care of, who will defund police and hope that they can help you in stopping police brutality. So talk to me about why you decided to be a part of More Than a Vote and what it actually means.
Well, it means a
Rabetão
lot to be
gostoso.
involved with such an impressive collective
Que
as
tu
you
não falou
mentioned.
isso, Pedro?
And I've
E
said
fia,
this multiple
mano.
times, and I know it can be uncomfortable when I say it, but a lot of times we have to get to the root of the issue before we find a solution. And the quote was, I wish America loved black people as much as it loves black culture. And this collective, by the way, represents in a lot of ways what's encouraging, but also sometimes
Fala logo,
disappointing
porra!
about
Eu
our
quero
role
escutar
as black
música,
people in
caralho!
America. Because we were brought here
It's
as
cause
slaves,
I know you just you, I'm losing my use.
and we use those vehicles
Eu vi, ó,
to get paid
irmão de
and
segundo
move to
grau.
the suburbs and be idols of white kids. And so now that we have this
Cadê os
collective,
peixotos?
I would say sports and entertainment represent the most powerful group of black men in the United States. I'm talking about money, power, celebrity, the ability to mobilize, community involvement,
Because I had to...
their leadership, their intellect. And so to have all of us
Mano, a voz dele tá
in
muito
the
lagada,
same
mano.
direction at the
Não
same
tá
time
lagada,
for
Pedro. A voz dele...
anything
Que isso?
that we're passionate about is gonna be a difference
Pedro, dá
maker.
pra ver o show
But
aqui
it's
atrás, ó.
definitely gonna be a
Vem
difference
aqui,
maker in
Pedro, dá pra
2020
ver o show
vote.
aqui atrás, ó.
Because we're gonna make sure we
Vem
inform
pra cá, Pedro,
everybody
aqui
that they
no
can
telão.
let their voice be heard.
Jornal
And
Nacional,
failure is
segunda
not an
edição.
option.
Jalen, what does voter suppression look like to you?
A perfect example took place recently, Carrie, in Kentucky. It was 6 p.m. at night, and so many people were standing in line enthusiastic to vote. And you know what they did? Locked the doors. And you know what the people did? They
Jornal
continued to
Nacional.
bang on the doors.
Quinta edição.
Continued to bang on the windows. They continued to let it be known they were not going to leave the premises until they got a
Ixi, ó a
chance to
bunda lá.
vote. And you know what ended up happening? They opened those doors and allowed those people to vote. So do not be
Não sei, mas a
discouraged.
gente não
These
consegue se
barriers
concentrar, Pedro.
show you that it matters. And we're here to help you break through them. The same thing with our platforms and voices, Carrie. Because you know what's going to happen. At some point, Breonna Taylor is not going to be trending anymore.
Que me dá, é.
People are not going to be protesting.
Não!
But it's still up to us to keep
Because
making
I
sure
have...
that our voices get heard. And this is one way to do so.
Right, and that is a
Olha
form of
sem
being
mamilo,
activated,
olha
being
sem
an activist.
mamilo,
It doesn't have
olha
to
sem
be protesting. It
mamilo.
doesn't have to look like what you think traditionally activism looks
Jornal
like. It's
Nacional,
voting. It's
quinta
that simple.
décima edição.
We now have to understand, like, this is a critical mass moment for this movement to continue to hold up
Sai daqui,
as
Pedro.
much steam for as long as possible. And that's what this collection is going to hopefully allow for that situation to happen.
Jalen, in today's age of technology, it should be easier to vote.
No doubt.
não vai
It's
subir
like,
aí, né?
we call these devices smartphones, but yet I can't vote. All of the things that we do in our lives are in our phone. All of these barriers are things that people will need to overcome in order to create a level of enthusiasm to vote.
Se liga eu
And
aqui em
again,
cima, Pedro. Olha eu
this
aqui em
is
cima,
not
Pedro, do
political.
telão.
It's
Olha
your
pra cá,
right to
Pedro.
do so.
Aqui, ó.
And there's so many times where you feel like somebody
Não sei.
may have gotten done unjustly in your community. Pay attention to who the judges are, who's running for Senate,
Fica no outro,
mayor,
Pedro. Ali, ó.
governor.
Fica no outro,
Pay
ó. Ali, ó.
attention who's running for president. And let's make sure in 2020
Ele errou, ele
we
errou.
make a difference.
Why is
Fica,
more than
fica
a
em
vote
cima, ó. Ali, ó.
so important
Bem em cima,
and valuable in
bem
our
em cima
community
desse
right
aqui, ó.
now?
Não.
Well, because
Era
right
desse aí,
now,
esse-
I think we have an opportunity to let our voices be heard louder than ever. Anytime you see the
Os
mobilization
dois caíram.
of white kids
Ataque ao
holding
pai.
Black Lives Matter signs, that means there's a
Because
breakthrough.
I
Now, what happens with that breakthrough is the next step. You're going to look down in your email, Carrie, you're going to see all of these companies telling you how they're going to work on their diversity, how they're looking themselves in the mirror, they need to make change. Just like in sports, right?
Because
Field, on the court, all those black players. Further you get up, it's like altitude
trocou de skin, Pedro?
on a ladder. It gets thinner and thinner. And
Eu
so
quero
a
música,
lot of
mano.
people talk about the system being broken.
Digitação.
I hate to remind people that it's not broken, it was built this way. And one of our ways to help change the system,
Tipo assim, eles estão assim, cause happy. Pode tentar, Pedro. Você não
from the
lagou,
season
né,
coming
Pedro?
back, in the midst of everything that is happening.
I think
Sei
you'll
lá,
see
gol,
players
Pedro.
challenging the establishment more.
Onde você tá, Pedro?
You're going to see them saying, okay, if you have all of these
Ah, fica aqui.
marketing and
Fica
promotional
aqui que eu tô
deals, how many
subindo.
of them are
Aqui
with
embaixo,
minorities?
Pedro. Aqui, ó, vem cá.
How many people are you
Aqui, ó.
employing in
Tô pulando
NBA?
aqui, ó.
What about certain teams? Who do you have as a minority owner?
Tô chegando
Or
aí.
what about the candidates that you have for positions of power? NBA players have proven as blacks that they are now movers and shakers in the game. They're now the dog, not the tail. So if they decide not to play, some of the biggest social changes and conversations have taken place in sports that weren't during the game. Colin Kaepernick was before the game. The Ali Summit was a press
E
conference.
Pedro?
So they could mobilize
Pedro,
if they chose to.
nosso
But
inimigo.
when and if you do
Nosso
play,
inimigo.
challenge the league. Black Lives Matter on the jersey.
Ele é
Continue
respect.
to make sure that every time people are watching the game, they're also seeing the
Mas você
movement happen.
percebeu que
Jalen, I appreciate you because you
a
are
gente
always
tem
entertaining
farol,
and
mano?
informative at once. I really, truly am looking forward to the NBA season. Thank you for working with More Than a Vote because your voice, your platform,
Because
all of it is needed, my friend. Be safe, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I love and appreciate you. One call away always.
Thank you. Love you, brother.
Love you too.
Every conversation that we had today, I hope was helpful for you. I am so grateful to everyone who came on with me to talk about what's going on.
Já
in
volto,
culture and
Pedro,
how
vou
we
pegar
need to
alguma coisa
change.
pra beber.
Huge shout out
Já
to
volto,
Jalen
galerinha.
Wilson,
A live
Bundy,
é coisa
Jason
rápida.
Hayward, Yvonne Orji, and Russ. Their words were inspiring, but also important and invaluable. I hope your phone is full with all the information that we've been able to place in front of you. Again, you need to check out these resources because they are so important because we want you to vote. That is your voice. It is important. We, the people, want you to vote. So go to morethanavote.org, fairfight.com, and when we all vote.org. Again, thank you so much for joining us and paying attention because this message, again, is invaluable. I'm Carrie Champion for We the People.
Não, eu fui procurar o que eu ia comer. Eu comi hambúrguer e tô comendo um outro pão agora. Você nem pediu, né, Pedro, o hambúrguer, né?
Eu disse que ia defender. Não, mas não teve música, foi só pra falar, né? Esse é esse mais ou menos.
É o outro, então.